Hey everybody, welcome to Beards of War. My name is Grant. I'm a 22-year combat veteran with 5 combat deployments across the Marine Corps and the Army. I've done the invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq. I'm here with 3 of my brothers, and we are building a channel founded in the love of cinema, TV shows, and pretty much anything else culturally related, like video games, etc. Today's sponsor is Roan Industries. They make great swag for veterans and tactical equipment. Go and check them out. Their link will be posted down below in the description, and we'll capitalize on them again at the end of the video.
Hey, how's it going, guys? This is Chris. I'm a retired Navy vet, 24 years in. Done multiple combat tours. Done about 12 or so deployments. Happy to be here. Love talking about cinema. We do it on a regular basis, and really looking forward to getting this stuff out there to you guys and getting some feedback, honestly, from the audience. So, without any further ado, I'd like to pass it over to Eric.
All right, my name is Eric. I am a 23-year retired Army veteran. A couple of combat tours, Afghanistan and Iraq. As my brothers were saying, we love cinema. We love talking about things and culture, and this is an opportunity for us to get together, kind of do it on a bigger scale, have some fun with it, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Let's get to it.
I'm gonna you up.
I got it.
I just love the confidence in that scene.
Right?
Without him knowing anything about those guys, he was like, yeah, pretty confident I'm going to take on all of you guys right now with no issues. Gotta love that confidence.
All right, so what we have here is we have a movie that starts out in an interrogation sequence with 2 police officers and Bob Odenkirk. And Bob Odenkirk is sitting behind there in all black, no lighting, very limited. And basically what he ends up starting to do is he sits there and lights a cigarette, opens a can of cat food, which is all kinds of strange if you've been in an interrogation booth. That's not exactly, standard procedure or standard of behavior from an individual that's currently shacked into a desk. Anyways, what ends up happening is this is a sequence that introduces us to our main character, and you're wondering what the hell just happened, because he's obviously beaten and bloody, and obviously has gone through something very significant, but seems to have this cat that's been unscathed in the entire process. It's got a great overture from Nina Simone, who did the song. Don't let me be misunderstood. A great classic song from the 60s and 70s, the soul era, and it just sets the tone perfectly for what is about to come in this very tight, short action movie. It runs about 96 minutes. Nothing significant, but in that 96 minutes, man, you are taken on an absolute powerhouse of an action film. Bob obviously had a rough day. He's cuffed, yet still has his cigarettes. But hey, we're going to overlook that because this movie is just too badass to scrutinize to that level. What we don't have here is ballistic suits from John Wick. But obviously, this 50-something-year-old has gone through hell and back. And the cops did an absolutely atrocious time of actually patting him down and searching him, because I don't know any police officer that would allow a can opener, a cat, cigarettes, and a lighter to be on someone's possession who's currently in police custody. Is obviously under arrest because he's got cuffs on him. So shit's about to get weird, man. Like who has a cat just crawl out of their jacket? And like the audience, these 2 mooks are going to have the exact same expression as the rest of us and be like, what the hell are we watching? Because it is all kinds of weird. And you just cut to the title sequence, and it's off to the races we go.
Yeah, man, I think that intro kind of it sucks you right in, because you want to know, how did we get here? Right? The guy's beaten up and bloody. This cat comes out unscathed. A can of tuna fish. Dude's still wearing a wedding band. Who couldn't even wear those on deployment? So he's been through something. And I just couldn't wait to see how we ended up at that point. But that was a good intro for that.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Obviously, I found it interesting, but the thing that drew my attention to it the most, oddly enough, was I was trying to figure out, what painting is that? Why is this guy carrying a painting? Yeah, of course, it was over the top. He's got, a cat. He's got tuna fish. He's got a can opener, beat half to death, and the other 2 on the cops on the other side of the table are trying to figure out what exactly do we have in front of us. But yeah, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out, like, what what's the meaning of that painting? Is it like valuable? Is it a family heirloom, or was this just something to have in there? But regardless, the scene was, I thought opening was awesome. Yeah, and I will add one other thing. Like, although that was an awesome scene, as was mentioned by Grant, the movie's just fantastic, all in all. And what we'd like to do now, though, is we'd like to roll into the next clip and kind of talk about some stuff on that one. Yeah, now of course, this is one of the, I would say, the most famous parts of the movie. Incredible, great action, great fight scene, a lot of remnant, things from John Wick, as you'll start to see. He starts to come into his own in this. But in particular, I like to draw your guys' attention to some of the stuff that, yeah, that sucked. But some of the stuff that goes on throughout this, because there's a lot to unpack here. Um, Firstly, there's a part where he gets a knife. Yeah, and I think we're getting close to that now. But he'll get the knife um, eventually from one of these cats. But you'll see the young guy come up behind him. I think it's coming up here shortly with a knife in a more traditional grip. And then what he's going to do is he's going to end up stabbing. So he stabbed him in his side. He was holding that in a more traditional grip, and he made like a slashing movement from kind of the right to the low left, and he ended up stabbing him in the side, but the blade was down at that point. So just trying to figure out how he was able to stab him in his side from behind with a more traditional blade grip, right, with the blade down, and he gets him in the side from the back. Very, very odd how that happened, but as you can see, there's a lot going on and a ton to unpack it. We could probably do an entire, half an hour episode just talking about that fight scene alone and breaking down each piece. But I thought it was interesting. All in all, the fight scene was just fantastic. I thought I was looking at John Wick, just another actor playing him. What are you guys' thoughts?
Well, I like the setup for that scene. I'm a more proud. I'm from the city, so I'm like, where is this bus in the middle of the night where no one's on the street? I'm like, the dark side of the moon, man. This bus driver, this poor lady trying to go to work from work. I don't know where this young girl's going. These guys literally crashed their Humvee right beside the bus. Yeah, let 5 drunk guys on the bus, and this should work out well for everyone. So just the fact that he knew, he had the confidence before that scene, like, oh yeah, this is gonna be too easy. And he was in such a fight that, he gets thrown, as you see at the end of it, he gets thrown out the bus window and goes right back in. Like, that would have been the end of my fight. I'm okay. I'll stay outside on that one, but he had like laser focus on his mission in that moment. So I thought that scene was a lot of fun to watch. I also enjoyed the reality of taking some hits, taking some blows, getting cut, getting beat up, because that's really what a fight is. If that's not happening, you're not really in a fight. You're just beating somebody up. So I like a fight. I like that back and forth, and him kind of just handling business. And man, like I said, just throwing out that window, like, be right back. What do you think, Grant?
All right, so the biggest thing I've got is that what we can't show right now because of YouTube and everything else like that is the inner monologue that Bob Odenkirk has in the beginning of this scene where he's talking to the bus driver in his mind, and he's like, "Please God, let her open this door." Like, right. He is on a mission and he needs this. And these are just the 5 assholes that show up in his way, and he is just going to commence to beating the crap out of them if they do anything that he disagrees with. And it's just a beautiful sequence, and it's just Bob talking to himself, obviously. But I just find it absolutely hilarious because there's got to be times in all of our lives where, like, anyone who's served and you just got this itch to kind of get it on, and you're just like, man, I was like, if somebody fucks around, they're gonna find out. Right. And for Bob, that was absolutely that moment. And then the second sequence, like, all the fighting was phenomenal. My favorite is there's a sequence where he stabs a guy in the leg, and then later on in the fight sequence, he actually kicks the knife handle into his leg further, and it's just absolutely flawless. So I was just like, man, talk about like on the spot thinking. And finally, as an absolutely busted up veteran, I absolutely love the sequence where he gets kicked into the bench on the bus, and then he's like, oh, he's just taking a minor microsecond pause, and all of a sudden the bus bench breaks, and he falls in the, like, it's just one of those things. Like, if Murphy can happen, Murphy will happen. And he's just like, fuck, my life has just been beaten down tonight. And he's like, I'm just not taking it anymore, and just goes to town on those cats. But like Chris and Eric said, man, the beat down sequence, like he takes his hits and just keeps on coming because he's just got something in him that he's just not going to let it go. It's beautiful action sequence. And of note, you'll see him later on in the movie, but the guy who's missing his teeth in the hospital sequence, that's actually a stunt coordinator that trained Bob Odenkirk for about 2 years before the movie released. He's actually from John Wick 1. You'll notice him halfway through the movie. Him and John have a sequence where they duke it out on a balcony overviewing the club floor. And he always talks about how the Baba Yaga should be something that should be feared. And he realizes why. But that stunt coordinator, that fight choreographer, is just phenomenal. And he's absolutely hilarious and well done in this movie. So,
yeah, definitely kudos to him for that whole scene, man. Phenomenal work.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. Actually designed the sequence too, I think.
Okay. I think we have, if I'm not incorrect, we have the home invasion scene next. This is just one of those, scene where, hey, guys, no questions, get up and go. Like, it kind of led me to believe, how well does your family know you, right? Yeah, just go hide in the basement. You know what kind of fight I would have had with my kids to try to get them all? It'd be like herding cats, right? Here's a kiss. Don't ask no questions. No, I'd have been fighting more with my family than with the goons outside at this point. But he's just like, don't call the police. And okay. Like, and these guys, again, middle suburbia, you got a SWAT team that's literally breaching your front door. Where do they live? What is the median household income of this family? I have to know. I just want to know, like, what's your mortgage payment? Like, these are the things I think of. And I'm sorry, I know it's like it's always that tactical piece of it. But I'm like, okay, in reality, how much is your mortgage payment? What's your property value? Like, I look at that's a nice neighborhood. And these guys just kind of roll in. No one is really out and about and outside, in the other houses. It's like a cul-de-sac. I'm like, that was pretty smooth for them to come in so stealthily at night. But I just like that scene, man, and it just kind of hit home with me trying to just get my family just to, hey, don't say anything, don't ask any questions, just go hide in this room. That would have been the whole fight. That would have been my fight scene. It's just getting them into the room without asking any questions. I can see my kid walking out in 5 minutes. Hey, Dad, did you say we were gonna go to Disney? Get back in the room. Like, I'm fighting like these guys that are literally coming to kill us. But his family just they followed instruction, which is very, very important. And it literally shows you what he was capable of and what he would go through to protect his family. So I like that scene for that reason.
Yeah, no, spot on. I what I thought about looking at it was it would be interesting to find a house that has the breaker box right there, near the front door. Like mine just doesn't happen to be lined up with my staircase, but interesting choice of location for that, but still really cool nonetheless. And yeah, man, I have to agree. Those guys coming up, hey, maybe everybody in that neighborhood sticks to themselves. Like, not my business. I don't see these guys out there all decked out in black with suppressed weapons and just walking up to his house in a formation. Like, well, something's going on, but nah, not our business, kind of a thing. And
people usually walk their dogs.
Yeah, and then you put the family in the basement, and I can only imagine what'd be going through their mind, not knowing. They're like, did Dad just freak out? Did he just break? Like, are we going to be trapped down here forever? Is there any food down here? We got canned goods, Mom. Like, they're wondering why, and like he kissed us goodbye, and why is the light switch flip over? What's going on? And then, yeah, don't call the cops. He ends it with that. So, yeah, if I was one of those kids, I'd probably be traumatized just a little bit.
I mean, in all reality, are they going to be traumatized? Are they going to be asking about, like, what's the Wi-Fi strength down in this secure basement now?
Yeah, today's use probably.
All reality, I mean, like, do we have Netflix down here? I mean, that's what it's going to boil down to. But I suspect it's the same neighborhood from Red, because the same kind of hit squad showed up at Bruce Willis's house, and he was cooking bullets in a pan, and nobody called the cops for him.
Yeah, find out they're all neighbors. That would be great.
Right?
That
Wouldn't
would
that
be
be
great.
Rest in peace, Bruce? Well, you're not dead, but we can cut that one out.
All right, so what we got next? Is that the basement incinerator scene?
So next is the nursing home invasion, which is by far my absolute favorite sequence of the movie. All right, so if anyone is younger than us, and there's plenty of them, you'll notice that's Christopher Lloyd, and he was in a movie called Back to the Future way back in the day. And all of society knows him from pretty much Taxi and the Back to the Future trilogy. And all of a sudden, Chris shows up in this movie, and he is prepared. And it's an absolute joy to watch. It's a very quick clip, but you've never seen Christopher Lloyd in this type of environment before, and it's an absolute joy to watch. Like, he looks like he is having the absolute time of his life. So, his character is supposed to be portraying a former retired FBI agent. He's done some kind of specialized work. I suspect that Bob Odenkirk's character has gotten recruited into the same kind of organization that he was probably part of, because there's some nuances between the two characters that you'll see in the film where they have a quiet respect for one another, and he just basically assesses that he's got to go out and do some work, and his dad acknowledges it. In this sequence, you got two scumbags from the Russian mob. They're looking to even the score from Bob Odenkirk's character, taking out the home invasion crew. So they're going after his dad, and his dad is always prepared. So as soon as these two guys come in, they think it's an elderly man that poses no real threat to them. And then when these two chuckleheads show up, they stick a 45 in his face, which is a bad idea to put that limited distance between your pistol and someone else's body. And as he goes to fire, he's got the hammer cocked back in this beautiful sequence that any gun aficionado would appreciate. He actually slams his finger into the hammer well and blocks the hammer from hitting the primer to strike off the round. It's phenomenal because he pulls back the blanket. He's got a sawed-off double-barrel shotgun, and both guys get dealt with pretty quick. And then he pawns it off as his TV is too loud as he's sitting there, holding the guy, keeping him quiet while he bleeds out on the floor. Absolutely phenomenal. Every sequence with Chris Lloyd in this movie is just
yeah.
Yeah,
and I think I mean, got to give a real shout out to the ever-present one inept orderly who's always asleep or not paying attention. You let two armed men into a nursing home in an assassination attempt, and is awakened by a shotgun blast coming from one of the rooms, and you can't tell the difference between that and a television show. Like that, you need those people in these movies, right? You can't just have one guy that's like always on point, always there, standing ready, to guarding these old people in the nursing home. No, he got to be asleep. He's got to be clueless. He's got to not know anything about, protecting anything, but they're necessary. And at, $12, $13 an hour, they're priceless when it comes to movies like this.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, I mean, yeah, just like you guys, I got to give a shout out to Doc, right? That's why I like to call him Doc, man. You brought up Taxi, man. Wow. I guess we're kind of dating ourselves, but I remember Taxi, but definitely Back to the Future. I just can't remember how many gigawatts are in a sawed-off shotgun, but I'm gonna look that one up for sure because it's probably quite a bit, given how far that guy blew back from that. I think he dang near went out the window, which was interesting. And Doc you could see he was having all of that smoke for them because that smile on his face was priceless. One kind of a Easter egg trivia note on this, if you guys didn't know, I didn't know. I found it out a little later after watching it the movie a few times. But Doc, as a part of them filming for this movie, he actually, instead of a prop gun, with regards to weight and everything, he actually wanted to be able to carry in, I would imagine, that same scene, but in later scenes when he's using shotguns and some other stuff, he wanted to carry actually weighted properly guns. Now, I believe that he was using, with regards to the weapon system itself, he was using a real shotgun, not real rounds, but he wanted to carry the real weight. So, kudos to him for being, let's call it method acting. At that point, he really got into this character, but nothing but love for this scene.
The only real question I have left is what do the visiting hours look like for that place? And what's the sign procedures? Because like these guys just show up at like 3 o'clock in the morning. I don't know any
Protocol. Who knows, man? Who knows?
or,
Only that orderly knows.
right? And he doesn't
Yeah.
know. And which between a shotgun and a TV. So it's still a phenomenal scene, man, all around. Like I loved it. Absolutely loved it. It was a joy to watch.
Absolutely. Absolutely. All right. This scene is, he's he kind of fought these guys off. But you see here, he literally dislocates his thumb. Okay. I don't know. I mean, in certain situations, life and death situations, yeah, are you capable of doing something like that? It looks like he's done that before, right? Like, yeah, okay, just casually dislocate my thumb and peeks out the back of the trunk, has the wherewithal to find, okay, where am I going? Again, this is the city, no other cars on the road, don't know exactly where they are, could be PA. My only thing with this type of vehicle, and this is just like I said, one of those little things I think of in the back of my mind. You open that trunk, man, that light's gonna end up on that dashboard. Hey, your trunk's ajar. Like someone's gonna know that the dude popped the trunk, but it didn't matter anyway because he was gonna handle him with this fire extinguisher, causing the driver to forget where the brake is and have a head-on collision. The one light pole in the middle of a city street somewhere. Like they're on a highway 2 seconds ago. Now they're flipped over in some kind of side road with, again, no other people around. It's just it works out so well, and he just crawls out of the trunk. Yeah, no problem. Sits there and has a whole conversation with the guy before he dies, and I think that is great. He's just like he wants to kind of tell his story, and the only people who will listen are the people who are near death. So he gets out of this car and just sits there with the guy and has a conversation about, who he was and what he did. But that scene right there, I just thought that, I like that whole, being able to do something to yourself in order to free yourself. Like, it's just a finger, but to literally to literally injure yourself in order just to escape handcuffs, it's a lot harder, I believe, in my opinion. It's a lot easier said than done. Oh yeah, just, bite it off. What? No, I don't know if I can do that, but yeah, he did it, and I think he's done it before.
The irony is, I don't think I ever got trained to dislocate my thumb in SEER school. So
yeah, no. Well, the one of the things they covered, they had the whole bobby pin safety, safety clip thing, but yeah, dislocating body parts, no. And they also did that in John Wick, if you remember. I know we've been referring to John Wick throughout this, but the female assassin, she had dislocated her thumb to get out of the cuffs. Remember that when the guy was watching her at the Continental? So yeah, I guess that's the thing. We're never that high up the chain to get that training, but apparently they teach it somewhere.
And just curious, what exactly did that car collide with to flip over on itself?
There was like a light, a traffic light in the middle of it.
It was
right.
like
I don't think it would have flipped over. It would have just hit it, and I don't know.
Well, to be fair, that traffic light looked like the body of it looked like it was made of concrete. I'm sure they exist somewhere, but that's no joke. I'm guessing this city, they got like their utilities and street stuff pretty rock solid. It must be Gotham, especially given that light was still on after he knocked it all the way across. It was still laying on the ground and the light was still red. So at least any cars that might have been coming up behind him, given that it was completely empty of vehicles, at least they knew they still had to stop.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Remember, nobody outranks safety.
It's everybody's responsibility.
That's right.
Even if you cause the problem. And I would say also I think that was a BMW, not sure what series they were driving, but I'm fairly aware that most cars nowadays, they got fire extinguishers in them, to include BMWs. But I wonder, the size of that fire extinguisher that he had in there, is that the standard size for those trunks? Because that looked like one of those big ones they have at like the schools.
On a fire truck.
Yeah, so you can put out a school fire, but I guess it's a Beamer, so you probably want to save it as much solution as you can have in the back of that thing to put out fires, the better, I guess.
Right.
Can't afford a BMW right now, so I wouldn't know. All right, so that takes us to the basement incinerator scene. Eric, take us away, brother.
Okay, again, this is where I go with median household income. How do you get the money to make your basement into an incinerator? And he was very specific about the heat signature. And oh yeah, but they're not gonna find any parts of your body. Now he's got what, 4 or 5 guys on a couch. He had to carry them down there. They weren't just sitting there and they passed out. Like he literally moved all those bodies down to the basement and sat them strategically on his couch. That was calculated, only to burn them alive. Like that's a lot of care for someone about to be burned alive. I'm just throwing you on the floor in a pile. Like I'm not even trying to dress you up. You know what I mean? Like what? I'm not taking a picture of this. But he was just like, "Yep, no traces." And again, this place is gonna go up just casually. Found his daughter's cat bracelet, who literally started the whole thing. Because we've been there, like, oh, our daughter's upset about something. Let's go destroy the world. And you find out, oh, she never lost it in the first place. So I did all this for nothing because all you do was look under the couch. But that scene right there just kind of shows you what he would do to cover his tracks or to protect his family. Yeah, I'll burn the house down in order to keep you guys from coming after my family. You know what I mean? So yeah, that scene right there was one of those. I think I need a basement incinerator.
The aspect that I loved about it though was he's actually having a conversation with all the dead guys at the same time. It's
Right?
like
Because
talking
they're
about
the
his
only ones who listen.
actions and stuff like that. I'm just like, okay. I mean, he's not exactly you know, right in the head, I suppose. But he's just doing what he does best, man. And still along for the ride and loving every second of it.
There you go.
Yeah,
No
I'd
minor
like to
smoke
know.
inhalation.
I'd like to know what album he was playing, because obviously that's one of the hottest tracks, pun intended, that's been played in a long time. Man, I mean, I remember the days of vinyl, and I still have some vinyl somewhere. I hope to goodness none of mine do that. But yeah, good on
Could
them.
you imagine playing like a top 40 hit and it burns your house up?
Yeah, where's Casey Kasem?
Right? I'm not playing that album. Not gonna burn my house down.
Doesn't happen on Spotify. I'm just saying. Nothing bursts into flame in my house. All right, if we're all good on that incinerator scene, Eric, once again, man, we're going to the burning of the loot.
Oh yes, this I've always had a problem with. No matter what the movie, like burning money does not sit well with my soul. Okay, but the fact that he just happened to come across a gas can, full gas can to put into the sprinkler system. Which, I mean, is it really that simple? Like you can literally turn the entire sprinkler system into gasoline and just, burn money. Like, dude, I'm taking some of that. I'm sorry. I'm not that well off that I can just say, it's a few million. Who cares? I'm taking some of it. Like some of that's gonna end up in my house somewhere. Like I'm not that, uh I don't have that much integrity not to take any money. I'm gonna be honest, like, oh yeah, I'm getting some of that if I'm gonna burn it anyway. But just the fact that he put it in the sprinkler system, that was thorough. Normally they go in there, they, spread the gasoline, throw the match. No, that he lights it with a stack of money. Like that's the ultimate, yeah, screw you on this one. And this dude is having the time of his life karaoke. Doesn't know he's, just lost millions of dollars for the Russian mob of all people. So yeah.
Yeah, I had some, and I'll probably talk to it a little more in one of the clips that I'm gonna cover. But yeah, again, great movie, great scenes. But it was interesting to me also about the gas, obviously burning the money. Um, one thing to note for that, from my point of view, is he put that into the sprinkler system that rained down on everything. And if you're anybody's familiar with gas and how that works, and or any of those accelerants, they give off a lot of fumes. So he's inside of a building that it's not just a little bit of gas I poured on something. It came through the sprinkler system, so there's a lot of fumes in the air, and he cooks that off, and you'll see later. But he's fairly close to that. Why there was no blowback, why there was no explosion that put him in the position to join his enemies there is amazing. But again, that might be a testament to the John Wick style of the movie. You know, shout outs to Keanu Reeves. But yeah, a lot of gas and not very much explosion, but a lot of burning for sure.
Yeah, movie magic.
I guess the only question I have is, was he standing inside the building when he lit a stack of money on fire to throw it as the, or was he in the one place in the building that actually didn't have sprinkler systems that would have caught him on fire, that would have caught saturated him and get
Doused him, right? Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
good question.
I think
once
I think we'll I think we'll see in one of my clips. We kind of talked to that a little. I wanted to reserve until we got to it, but yeah.
Or moreover, what starts the sprinkler system? Don't you have to have the fire first? Or can you just turn on the sprinkler system?
they might have actually, if he had pulled a fire alarm system, it would have activated the water in theory, potentially. But like the other question to ask is like, at what point is gasoline still flammable and it's diluted by water, right? So you got this giant water system that's responsible for the sprinklers. You know, how much part of that, like based on the amount of gas that he poured in, like now you have a water gas mixture. I know we're gonna, that's the kind of nerdery shit that we do. So but all in all, like I am prepared to hold back reality for the sake of this movie
For the entertainment, right? Yeah,
right.
Absolutely. Movie magic.
Yeah.
That'll be the caveat. Movie magic. That's all you can say.
And then we're gonna
Agreed.
right from that into one of actually, I think one of if the lack of a better term and to be slightly crude, the ballsiest scene in the movie. And so this leads into the direct follow-up sequence from him burning the money from the Russian mob into him actually coming face to face with the main villain of the movie. And it's just this magical sequence of this this Eastern European actor who's portraying the Russian scumbag, the head of the mob, who's tasked with housing all this money, and all of a sudden he's doing this karaoke shtick at his own club, and he realizes in the audience he's looking at the guy who's been the root of all of his problems. And it's just phenomenal because he gets surrounded, and bad guy versus good guy. It's like an epic standoff. But the beautiful sequence takes a turn because Bob is ready for the fight. With multiple guns stuck in his head, he pulls back a napkin and he's basically finger teasing this Claymore mine. Now, I love the sequence. I love the audacity of him rocking a fucking Claymore in order to get his point across and as a form of his own exit strategy. But in all reality, those Claymores have like prongs that you put into the ground and that stabilizes them, right? So if he was to actually pull that igniter or that whatever the trigger system of the Claymore versus the clacker, he's got obviously a pin similar to a grenade. To ignite that thing, he'd have to actually hold the mine to pull that pin to ignite it. And it doesn't really look like there's anything stabilizing that Claymore. So it's just he's gonna pull it, and then the Claymore is gonna come with him because he's not gonna be able to pull the actual pin out.
Right.
And I don't care because I think it's fantastic. It is just an absolute ballsy, insane maneuver to pull, and I was in, man. Like I didn't care about reality. I was all in. I thought it was phenomenal. And just the conversation they have, these two guys are obviously, they've been in some life and death situations, and it's a nothing burger for them. They're just like, they're two hardcore assholes. They're duking it out via their words right now. And Bob, once again, has got him where it matters, and he took away all his money. And it's just beautiful. And to caveat one last point from the previous clip, I honestly think that Bob or Hutch, his character, I don't think he took any of the money because A, I don't think he needed it, but B, more importantly, I think he sent a message that said, all the money in the world doesn't matter to me. If you mess with my family, I'm going to burn your world down. And I love the symbolism of that. And, and take it away, gentlemen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that Claymore was a nice touch. Most movies will go the way of a grenade, a simple grenade pin. The fact that it was a Claymore, like I said, it does. Oh, he wants to do real damage. Okay, all right, yeah, I like that. I remember the blasting caps and the, Claymore. You had to do all that. It had some distance because you can't be that close to a Claymore when you set it off. But yeah, like you're saying, that's the whole movie magic of it, right? That's the escapism. That's the man. This would be really cool. Like if he pulls the pin. he's willing to take it too. Obviously, you can't say, "Oh, I'm going to aim it at you guys. I'm willing to die for this." So the guy really doesn't have any type of leverage because he's like, "Yeah, I'll take us all out. Like this is no big deal." So you really can't win against a guy that has nothing to lose, essentially. So yeah, I thought that was a pretty cool scene. I like the use of the claymore.
Yeah, I half expected when I saw it that that for the first time at least, when he lifted that napkin up, that it was going to be like some burnt money, right? That's what I was thinking, and the guy was going to get it. I was, overly impressed by being a Claymore. That was awesome. That was awesome, and that he was able to walk out after that with that that kind of attitude of like, yeah, you messed with the wrong thing. I think even in that scene somewhere he mentioned like you came to my house and that's something you never do. And so yeah, I think that rings true to exactly what Grant was saying, that hey, I'm willing to take everything down because you came to my house, you messed with the family. So two of the biggest things I think for most people you don't really mess with, right? You don't mess with their family, you don't mess with their money. So since that he decided to come to his house, he decided to take it to his money. So yeah, I like that. I definitely like that.
All right, and that takes us into the creme de la creme, the car chase sequence, directly following the aftermath of the Claymore sequence. So Bob basically makes a run for it, gets to his car, and Chris, take us away.
Yeah, so as you can, yeah, he's kind of hoping here. He's like, yeah, please, kind of like the bus scene where he was like, please, just let him come out, let him come out. He's like, yes. But I will say, kind of one of my first things, you know, um, yeah, there's nobody on the street around here, right? So you're like, what is going on? Nobody on the street anywhere in the city, nobody in the previous scenes, like that look he gave him. I think that was the Magnum he gave him. But nobody is on the streets anywhere. I think I see one car back there. These guys are able to come around there with their own little convoy as such. And the people who were in the club earlier, I guess they parked, down the block. But there's nobody anywhere. He's still going down the street. At least he's got all greens. So this has got to be like some form of Gotham. And again, nobody, no cops, no nothing. This guy, see, automatic fire, weapons fire. But hey, there's another bus and it
It's
decides to
probably the
go
same
now.
bus.
Yeah,
I
the
bet
same
you it's the
bus.
same bus.
It's like I just got repaired. And then apparently he's got one of Starsky and Hutch's cars. I guess that goes with his name as well, right? But yeah, and it's just insane. And then so there's all this shooting, right? Shooting, automatic weapons fire, shooting in the cars. He hasn't been hit once with a round. So yes, movie magic, I agree. But we got a ton of weapons, ton of automatic weapon fire. I can probably get a 22 round to make it through a car door. So the stuff that there's a Uzi, right? So a lot of gunfire. No, he doesn't get hit at all, not once, and they've unloaded on this car. It's amazing. Now, granted, maybe because it's a muscle car that it's still moving, but that he doesn't get hit not once, and it goes through through the doors, through the windows. At least my brothers on the show know roughly how that goes when you're talking about firing in and out of a vehicle, how those rounds work. Not quite true to form, but hey, that's it. Maybe it's an up armored vehicle. Maybe that's what it was.
Baby.
You can't beat a muscle car. Like if you want a good chase scene, I don't care what year the movie's out, you gotta go in a muscle car, basically due to that rear wheel power. Because that's how you get those turns and those skids and all that stuff. And it's just fun to watch. Even in those futuristic movies like Demolition Man, right? What did he do? He got a muscle car. When it mattered most, you get a muscle car. So if you want a good chase scene, you got to get to something with some old school power, man. And I just like that scene because it was just, yeah, I'm just gonna grab my neighbor's, my little jerk neighbor's car that's just sitting out here. He doesn't really care about it anyway. And I'm gonna have the time of my life in it. So he's literally just like, I'm throwing all caution to the wind. Like I'm going all out, bringing them here so they can get all the business because he done brought them to the nest. So they about to get all the work now. Like you could have just left it at the money, take the loss there, but no, you want to bring it to my job. Okay, cool. Just come on in, fellas. So you know what's happening next.
Obviously, at this point, the Russians had never heard the term baited ambush. So,
Yeah.
There you go.
But yeah, and the actual song choice I thought was phenomenal. I'm a big fan of the appropriate music in movies, and this movie to me knocks the music out of the park. I think it was a solid chase sequence. Yeah, I mean, obviously we're suspending reality because he's got like 3,000 holes in the car, not one in him. But hey, man, buy Dodge. I don't know what to tell you.
There you go. And Goodyear, apparently, because they didn't get the tires.
Yeah, nobody shot the tires. Crappiest henchman in the world.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, a great rear view mirror, man. I mean, you can drive. I did not learn that one, but that was genius. I could not do that in my hand laying down, with the car laid out flat, shooting and driving in reverse and do a almost J turn. Yeah,
You can do it when no one else is on the road. So yeah, no, there's that.
it's kind of like that fishing trip, right, dude? I'm telling you, the fish was this big. Same thing. Like, dude, I'm telling you, I did it, man. I did it. I shot and I keyed hold every round, and yeah, I did a complete J turn. It was easy day.
Great, easy peasy.
All right, gentlemen, I think that takes us to our last clip, and that's going to be the closing credits. So this serves as the final bookend, or the other bookend, however the term works, and just goes to show furthermore the mystery behind Bob's character. There's at this point there's been a couple of hints as to his background. He gave a little bit of a flashback sequence. The mystery behind the playing cards tattoo, which is a phenomenal sequence we didn't cover. And we didn't cover the ending because honestly the ending is phenomenal, but like we were trying to get a little bit more descriptive with some of the sequences that we were fond of, not just the ending, because the ending is obviously balls to the wall, fantastic. Especially once again, man, my heart is with Christopher Lloyd on this one. He is just having an absolute blast, quote unquote. But you guys can watch that for yourselves. But the closing sequence, the closure to the interrogation part is just phenomenal, and it's subtle, right? So you don't get any answers as to who he is, but there are some details that you can take away and be like, oh man, this guy has got more of a mystery to him than what we know, than what the movie's covered, and it kind of teases a little bit of the sequel. But to me, the cat's meow is when both the interrogator, the police officers that are running the interrogation, it's like, hey man, who the fuck are you? And their phones ring, and they just have this look of defeat on their face because they know they just got scooped up by somebody that's got more authority than them. And Bob's walking out with the painting and the cat. And once again, to the incredible song "Don't Let Me Be Misunderstood" by Nina Simone. It's just a masterpiece of music. Highly recommend the song, highly recommend the movie. And I just can't speak enough about it. It's absolutely one of the best joys of 2021, especially considering the pandemic. So take it away, gentlemen.
Agreed, man. Great movie. Started out good, it ended good. Action throughout, really no lulls. There was nothing there where you're just like, oh man, this is the boring part of the movie. It was good action. Like I said, you go there for escapism, leave the realism at the door. That's the way you're gonna enjoy a movie like this. Just go in there and just enjoy yourself, man. Immerse yourself into something that you will hopefully never experience in your life, and you won't have a Russian mob after you and your family. So, we're gonna kind of live through Hutch in this moment. And just like you were saying, that final fight scene with Doc, as we call him, just going to town, man. He was having the time of his life, and it was just like, man, it was just good to watch. Good, fun, shoot 'em up movie, and I would definitely recommend it.
Yeah, same here. As I started out with saying that, like, phenomenal movie, right? I can be a little critical at some points, just kind of talking about things. Maybe that's just my personality. Maybe it's my time in service that made me, like, well, not quite that way and this way. But all in all, even with the we'll call them cons, there's so many pros with this movie. It's a must see if you haven't seen it. I would put it at the top of my queue if I were you. It's just fantastic. I honestly, we need more time to be able to cover the amount of stuff that's in this, from the RZA being in this. If you guys, again, spoiler alert, there's quite a few things in there, but there's people in there that didn't expect to see and didn't even quite catch by voice. the action scenes, but then again on the con side of the house, the little things here and there. But I think that all kind of brought it together, right? Like you guys said, suspend reality, check it at the door and just have good fun with the movie. And that's exactly what I did. And I definitely give it like or to date myself again, Siskel and Ebert, right? 2 thumbs up on that. It was great, man. It's great.
All right, guys, this brings us to the end of the video where, your standard YouTube isms kick in and like subscribe, click notifications, all that other crap. You guys know the deal. YouTube's been around for a long time. I'm not going to sit here and beg and plead you guys to subscribe to our channel, but like, I'm going to sit here and beg and plead you guys to subscribe to our channel. So thanks, man. Appreciate the support. The friends of the channel, our main man, Jack, is serving as our producer. Check out his Veteran Story podcast and his Overland channel. The links will be in the description down below. And a special shout out to a close friend of this channel is Roan Industries. They make some fucking phenomenal tactical equipment. Go over to the website. I'll be listing in the description below. Go check it out, man. They make some great stuff, and we're honored to have them as supporting our channel. So thanks everybody for checking us out. Our plan is to start doing these things on a more routine basis. We're going to cover stuff that's in the theaters. Like the 3 of us all like to go to the movies together. And we'll give you some honest feedback on what's out in the theaters. The reason we chose Nobody is because, honestly, there's trash in the theaters right now. So we don't really want to throw our money away at, like, Aquaman 2 or the Marvels. So here,
Shots across the bow.
Marvel movies or anything, they'll be all sensitive. But we just like good movies. And we'll review some bad movies too, because I guarantee you that Eric and I are going to definitely cover Fast and Furious 10, because shout out to Jason Momoa, absolutely the best joke ever. And
I can't wait.
Yeah. So Chris hasn't seen it yet, but Eric and I went and saw it. Eric convinced me to go see it. And he's like, hey, leave all expectations at the door. Realize it's a terrible movie. Have fun with it because it's absolutely insane. And then 100% change your brain, and you just flip that switch and you're just like, I don't give a shit what I'm about to watch. Man, it changes your whole mind frame. And so we'll catch you on the guys in the next one, and we'll get to it.